All right, let's jump into this deep dive. And you know what we're diving into? The Inca Empire. But not just like your typical history lesson. No, no. We're going on a quest. A quest for, well, I guess you could say lost cities, hidden treasures, all that good stuff. You know, maybe even a few Indiana Jones moments along the way.
Oh, for sure. And that's what's so great about these YouTube videos you brought along.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about actual expeditions, right? People out there in Peru, like right now, trying to solve this puzzle, this Inca puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going beyond the books, you know, we're getting into like the boots on the ground kind of exploration.
Exactly. And that's what I find so fascinating about these videos, is how they blend the old with the new. You see explorers using like cutting-edge technology, but then they're also relying on these ancient methods. It's a real mix of like scientific data and, whispers of legends, you know?
Okay, I love it. But before we completely get lost in the jungle, right, I think we should probably set the stage a bit. So the Inca Empire, I mean, this thing was massive. Absolutely huge, spanning thousands of miles across South America. And they built these incredible cities, roads, irrigation systems, all without the wheel. Can you believe that? No wheel.
It's unbelievable, really.
Yeah,
And no written language either.
yeah.
But their engineering skills, I mean, they were just mind-blowing. They were masters at adapting to their environment. They carved terraces into the Andes Mountains, the steep Andes Mountains, and created farmland. And their stonework, forget mortar.
Yep.
It's like those stones fit together so tightly you couldn't even slide a piece of paper between them.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. It's insane. But then, well, the Spanish conquistadors showed up, 16th century, and it all changed. I mean, the Inca, even with their advanced civilization, they just weren't prepared for European weaponry, and diseases.
It was a clash of worlds, really. And the Spanish, I mean, they were driven by gold, right? And the stories they had heard about Inca wealth, they were legendary. They plundered everything they could, melted down so many priceless artifacts into gold bars. But here's the thing, it's like a lingering question. What happened to the rest? Where did all that treasure go?
Now, that's a good question. And that's where the whole lost city thing comes in, right? I mean, I know the Spanish accounts talk about this place, Vilcabamba, a remote region where I guess you could say the Inca made their last stand.
Exactly, Vilcabamba. It was described as a place of refuge, maybe even like a hiding place for their most sacred treasures, maybe even, the legendary golden disk of the sun. It's a big one. It's really captured the imagination of explorers. For centuries.
Yeah.
And in the early 1900s, this American adventurer, Hiram Bingham, he set out to find it.
Hiram Bingham. Wait, wasn't he the guy who found Machu Picchu? You know, that iconic city, the one high up in the Andes?
That's him. Yeah, so in 1911, Bingham, he stumbles upon Machu Picchu, and he was positive, I mean, sure as could be, that he's found Vilcabamba, the lost city. And you got to admit, the ruins are spectacular. It's a real testament to, Inca engineering and artistry. And Bingham, he was meticulous. Documented the whole site. He even hauled away thousands of artifacts, sent them back to Yale University.
Can you imagine that feeling? Finding a lost world like that? It must have been incredible. It's like straight out of an Indiana Jones movie, hacking through the jungle and bam, ancient wonders revealed.
He definitely had that adventurous spirit, that's for sure. But there's a twist to this story. As more research was done, scholars started to realize that Machu Picchu, it wasn't Vilcabamba after all. And it seems like Bingham, I mean, he was so eager to find that lost city that he might overlook some key details,
Wait a minute. He finds this incredible city, and it's not even what he was looking for. What do you mean he overlooked details?
Well, the location of Machu Picchu, it didn't really line up with the descriptions of Vilcabamba in those Spanish chronicles, the ones that mention it. Plus, the architecture and the artifacts, they all suggest that Machu Picchu was built way before the Spanish even arrived. More likely, it was a royal estate or a retreat, for Inca emperors.
So Machu Picchu, a misidentified marvel. Okay, so where was the real Vilcabamba? Did Bingham ever find it?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting. See, Bingham, he actually explored another site deeper into the jungle. It's called Espiritu Pampa. And he did find some ruins there, but he kind of dismissed them, thought they weren't that important. Maybe he was expecting something, I don't know, grander, more visually impressive.
So he could have walked right past the real Vilcabamba. That's crazy. What makes Espiritu Pampa the more likely candidate then?
Well, later on, archaeologists did a lot more work there. A lot of it's actually detailed in these YouTube videos. And they confirmed that Espiritu Pampa, it actually fits the descriptions of Vilcabamba a lot better. It's in a more remote spot, easier to defend. And the artifacts they found there suggest it was inhabited during the time of the Inca resistance, when they were fighting back against the Spanish.
Wow, so Bingham was so focused on this spectacular lost city that he overlooked, the real deal, These videos, they really show how exploration, it's not just about the adventure, it's about, well, careful observation and interpretation, too.
It's like a detective story, you know?
Yeah.
You got to be open to new information, question your assumptions, and then you got to piece together this puzzle of the past. And that's what's so fascinating about Vilcabamba. I mean, the search is still going on.
You mean people are still looking for Vilcabamba? I thought we just said they found it.
Well, yeah, most experts agree that Espiritu Pampa, that's where Vilcabamba was. But there's still so much we don't know. I mean, these YouTube videos, they show how modern explorers are using all this technology, plus archaeology, and even the knowledge of the locals, to dig deeper, uncover its secrets.
Okay, so I guess finding Vilcabamba isn't just about putting a pin on a map, right? It's about understanding it. Its history, what it meant to the Inca, what it tells us about how they resisted the conquest. But what exactly are these explorers looking for?
Well, they're looking for clues about what life was like in Vilcabamba, how the city was laid out, how they defended themselves, and yeah, maybe even some evidence of those hidden treasures. I mean, who knows? Maybe that golden disk of the sun is still out there somewhere.
Now that would be an amazing discovery. We'll dive into those modern expeditions and what they're finding after a quick break. But first, you mentioned that golden disk of the sun. What's the story behind that?
Oh, it's a great story. It's this tale that mixes history and myth, and it's been fueling treasure hunters' dreams for, well, centuries. See, the Spanish chroniclers, they described this sacred object, a golden disc representing Inti, the Inca sun god.
So it wasn't just about the gold itself, it was something sacred to the Inca, right?
Exactly. It was like a powerful symbol. It represented their connection to the cosmos, the source of their power. And legend has it that when the Spanish invaded, the Inca priests, they hid the golden disc to protect it from being plundered.
Wow. So it's not just a treasure, it's a symbol of their lost empire, their beliefs, their identity even.
It really is. And, you know, no one knows for sure where it is today. But let's get back to those modern explorers. I mean, these YouTube videos, they really give you a feel for what it's like out there, navigating that terrain, the dense jungles, even like, you know, whispers of ancient curses, that kind of thing.
Speaking of curses, yeah, some of those stories, they give me the chills, you know? Like one video mentioned this mountain range, the Langanates. Apparently, it's supposed to be incredibly beautiful, but dangerous, too. They were talking about ghostly figures, vengeful spirits, people just vanishing without a trace.
The Langanates. Yeah, it's a place shrouded in mystery. Literally, there's always mist up there. The Inca, they believed it was a sacred site, you know, and some people believe those, I don't know, beliefs, those energies, they still linger, protecting the mountains from anyone who would disrespect them.
So it's not just like the normal dangers, you know, wild animals, that kind of thing. These explorers, they might actually be facing something, well, supernatural. Do you think there's any truth to those stories?
It's tough to say, really, but there are so many stories, legends connected to these sacred sites all over the world. Tales of curses, guardians protecting, well, ancient knowledge, treasures. And I think whether you believe in the supernatural or not, those stories, they remind us to approach those places with respect. Humility, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Acknowledging that there are things we don't fully understand, you know, beliefs and traditions that deserve our respect. But getting back to the explorers themselves, how do they even find their way through these places? I mean, are they just hacking through the jungle with machetes?
Well, they definitely do some of that, but they're also using some pretty incredible tools, high-tech stuff. One video showed them using LiDAR, you know, light detection and ranging. It's this technology that uses lasers to map the terrain in 3D, even through all that thick jungle.
Lasers to find lost cities. Sounds like something out of Star Wars. So how does that even work?
It's wild. The lasers can penetrate the canopy, and they reveal these hidden structures, ancient roads, even tiny changes in the ground that might mean there are ruins buried underneath. It's really changed how we explore, how we understand the past.
It's like peeling back layers of time, right? Uncovering what's been hidden for centuries. But it's not all high-tech, is it? I mean, I noticed they also work with local guides, people who really know the land and its history.
Oh, absolutely. Those local guides, they're essential. I mean, they grew up with these stories, the legends, and a lot of times they just have this like intuitive understanding of the landscape. In one video, there's this guide, and he uses his knowledge of the plants to find a medicinal herb, the kind of thing the Inca would have used.
That's so cool. It's like this perfect partnership, modern technology and ancient wisdom. And, you know, speaking of partnerships, I also noticed that they work closely with archaeologists. What do the archaeologists do in all of this?
Oh, the archaeologists, they're crucial. They're the ones who can interpret what they find, put those pieces together, the pottery fragments, tools, structures. They tell the story of the people who lived in these places. They're like detectives,
Uh-huh.
analyzing the evidence, trying to create a picture of the past.
So it's not just about finding a city on a map. It's about figuring out, like, what life was like there, who lived there, what happened to them. I imagine that takes a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah. And a keen eye. It's not always glamorous work, Those videos show them carefully excavating, sifting through dirt, cleaning artifacts. They're so meticulous, recording every single detail.
It's like a massive jigsaw puzzle. But there's another piece to all of this, isn't there? The ethics of it all. We talked about approaching these places with respect. What are some of the ethical considerations when it comes to looking for these Inca cities, these treasures?
That's a really important point to bring up. I think one of the biggest challenges is making sure that any exploration, it's done in a way that respects the cultural heritage of the indigenous people. I mean, these aren't just ruins. They're sacred to a lot of communities today.
Right. It's not just about the physical place. It's about the beliefs and traditions of the people connected to them. So how are the explorers trying to be respectful, in practice?
Well, a lot of them are working directly with indigenous communities,
Mm-hmm.
getting permission before they start exploring, asking for guidance. And they're also involving local people in the work itself, providing training, jobs.
That's great. It's about collaboration then, right?
Mhm.
Mutual respect. Recognizing that those communities, they're not just bystanders. They're active participants in uncovering and preserving their own heritage.
That's exactly it. And then there's the question of, well, what happens to the artifacts that they find?
Oh.
In the past, a lot of artifacts they were taken away ended up in museums or private collections in other countries.
That doesn't seem right. It's like taking a piece of someone's history and culture and just taking it away.
It is.
Yeah.
But luckily, there's this growing movement to return those artifacts.
Yeah.
Repatriation, they call it. A lot of the explorers in these videos, they're committed to leaving anything they find in Peru. So it can be studied there, displayed in a way that respects the culture.
That's good to hear. It's about understanding that these artifacts, they're not just objects. They're part of a living culture.
Right. And there's another ethical issue, especially when we're talking about treasure, the potential for looting. The black market for antiquities. When you have these stories about lost gold, priceless artifacts, it attracts people who, well, they just want to get rich quick.
It's sad, but it's true. The lure of treasure, it can bring out the worst in people sometimes. What can be done about that, about looting and protecting those sites?
Well, it's complicated, but there are things happening. More security at the sites, stricter laws against selling those antiquities, and there are education campaigns, to try to raise awareness, get people to understand how important it is to protect cultural heritage.
So it sounds like it requires a lot of different things. Governments, archaeologists, local communities, even tourists. We all have to play a part in making sure these treasures are protected for the future.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting to think about how the Inca themselves viewed wealth and treasure. It wasn't just about gold and silver, not for them.
So they had a different idea of what was valuable, what was important to them.
Well, they put a lot of value on things like textiles, woven cloth. The finer the weaving, the higher status it was, more valuable than precious metal sometimes. And knowledge. Knowledge was huge, especially knowledge about agriculture, astronomy, engineering. Those were the skills that allowed them to build this amazing civilization in such a tough environment.
That's a good point. I mean, it makes you think, right, about what we consider wealth and success today. Maybe in our search for all this Inca treasure, we're overlooking their most valuable treasures, their knowledge, their wisdom, their connection to nature. It's funny, we started out talking about these lost cities and all this hidden treasure, but it feels like we've stumbled onto something, I don't know, more valuable, like a different way of looking at the world.
I know what you mean. It's like the Inca, they were so connected to nature. Their focus was on community, sustainability. It's a perspective that, well, it feels pretty relevant today, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like their story, it's not just about the past, it's a message, like for us now. And we've been so focused on what's lost, right? The lost cities, the lost treasure. We almost forgot about what they found and what we can learn from that.
They figured out a way to live and thrive in one of the most challenging environments on the planet. I mean, they built this sophisticated civilization that lasted for centuries. And they did it without so many things we think are essential now, like, a written language or even advanced metal tools.
I know, it's incredible. Really makes you think about what we consider progress, what makes a society successful. We're all about individual achievement, material wealth. But the Inca, they were more about the collective good, right? Taking care of the community, the environment.
Yeah, they had this deep understanding of how everything's connected. Like their idea of itoni. It's all about reciprocity, giving and receiving mutual support. It was this principle that guided everything, their relationships, their economy, even how they interacted with nature.
It sounds like, I don't know, a really beautiful way to live, based on cooperation, not competition.
hmm
But do you think there are lessons, real lessons from the Inca that we can use today, even in our world, with all our technology and everything?
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, their focus on sustainability, it's more important than ever, right? They understood you have to live in balance with nature. You take what you need, but you give back. It's a lesson we really need to relearn, especially now with climate change and everything.
And what about community? I mean, everything's so individualistic these days. People feel isolated, disconnected. Could we learn something from the Inca about how to build stronger communities?
I think we can. The Inca had this strong sense of shared responsibility, taking care of each other. They had systems to support the elderly, the sick, people who needed help. And they had all these festivals, ceremonies that brought people together, celebrated their identity as a community. We could really learn from that, how to create connection, cooperation, belonging.
I love that. A society where everyone feels valued, supported. It's a beautiful idea. It makes me wonder, what would the Inca think about our world if they could see it today?
That's a great question. I think they'd probably be impressed with our technology, all the things we can do. But I also think they might be, I don't know, saddened by how disconnected we are from nature and from each other. Maybe they'd remind us that true progress, it's not just about stuff or technology. It's about creating a world where everyone, everything can thrive in harmony.
It's a powerful message, and it's something that stays with you even after you've, seen those lost cities, those ruins. It's like a reminder that this quest for knowledge, for understanding, it's not just about the past. It's about how we build the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Learning from the Inca, their successes, even their failures, it can give us insights that can help us now. Their story shows us that even the most powerful empires, they don't last forever. But the wisdom, that can last for centuries.
And maybe that's the real treasure, isn't it? The knowledge that can inspire us to build a better world, one that's more just, sustainable, and compassionate. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Inca Empire, I think it's important to remember what we've learned, and not just in our heads, but in our hearts too. And I think it's important to keep exploring, to keep learning, and to keep building that future, a future that, well, honors the wisdom of the past.